All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
To Your Eternity, Season 1, Episode 4. Oniguma-sama is dead.
The god of bears.
Yep, because it was
this ancient
quite
world.
the bear. Yeah, But it's dead now. Super dead.
Yeah, he's fucking dead.
Yep. And now... Fu.
A name. Given.
Yep.
But not received.
But thanked for.
Entirely, yes, thanked for. But that was also just, I think, the first thing it knows how to say, which, as far as teaching a new being to our world, I mean, this is kind of Earth, but not really.
Right.
I think saying thank you as the first thing, like, that's a pretty good thing, because I'm really glad it's not learning any kind of negative emotions first,
yes. Yeah, that would have been bad.
It might be because it, had to kill a bear in order to protect its food giver. But
pretty good,
pretty basic survival instincts.
Yeah, all things considered.
Yeah. Or not instincts, but choice.
Right.
Because it doesn't have instincts. It's learned everything by stimuli. So external stuff, not internal.
Right.
Okay, but now Hayase has given them a choice. And they're choosing life.
Yeah.
But so they're going to go to her village.
Right.
But that's going to open up the world a little bit more, not just for us, but for these girls, because they probably have never been to their village. Because, they assume that no one from the other village will ever come there and see them.
Right.
So effectively, they'll be dead to the village.
Yeah. Travel at this day and age probably isn't a big thing,
Yeah, exactly. Pretty dangerous. So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. Okay. All right. We got a lot of good dramatic tension and
lots of world building.
Like, some new stuff for Fushi to learn. Really good emotional connection with Pioran.
Yep.
I really like the way that in a lot of ways, the way this show is structured, like in its linear kind of, story kind of idea. I feel like there's multiple points where I'm like, oh, this is where they're ending the episode. Cool. It feels very much like there's more story that, goes there, but they're not trying to, like, conform it to the 23 episode, or, like, not 23 episode, 23-minute episode.
Sure.
It's just like, oh, no, this is a natural, like, good point to end it.
This is how far we get,
This is how far we got, basically,
Yep. And... having stuff like this where it's like, okay, we meet the human city, not just the tiny little village that apparently is one district of a very large kingdom and all that stuff. Like, okay.
Yeah, they're like mini vassal settlements of sorts.
Right. And it makes sense, because if the land is so big, and that's the reason why they want the land, right, then, little villages and stuff, especially if there's an active effort to keep them in the dark, and they don't have any, like, now she could have been lying when she said they don't have any, like, written language or whatever, but I get the feeling she's right.
I think she's right. Yeah.
And how do you communicate? How do you
Yeah, and if they are using the fear of Oniguma-sama to be this thing that keeps them technologically backwards as well,
sure,
there's a lot of things that they can use them for outside of just being, not expanding, basically, so they can use the land, which I believe is kind of the thing that they revealed here for the most part, is that there's a lot of individual little, like, settlements
like
and
dozens,
stuff.
Potentially.
Yeah, they're like 40 or something. But the land is so fertile that their biggest problem they would have is if they all united, and then basically began to utilize the land to its fullest. But because they're not doing that, this nation has then been able to use it and flourish as a result. And wow, that's some pretty fucked up shit.
Yeah, I like that since this show is the kind of show that lends itself to kind of like big spans of time, even though we're staying in this current time story. Exactly. We're seeing the movement of cultures is something that I'm very excited.
I'm very excited about too.
Right,
yeah.
and I'm glad that we've got that so far, and that seems like something that will continue.
Right,
while at the same time maintaining that balance of we're following these individuals and their
human story,
their small scale human story through this crazy experience with these nations and things like that.
Yep.
And in a lot of ways, how Fu both makes their lives so much better by making it so that hopefully they won't have to be sacrificing their children anymore and stuff like that, but then also gets them turned into slaves, right? So okay,
so that's going to be a whole situation. Now let's go through things bit by bit here. March just continues to be just the all-star of this freaking show.
Super wholesome and sweet and wonderful. And
wonderful character, bubbling with personality and just joy and goodness. And yet you can see the moments where she's like, I miss my mom and daddy, but like she's trying to find ways to be strong in this. I like that she can lean on Fu as well. And the fact that they were now like staying together throughout the majority of this episode.
Right.
Like that felt like a smart decision from Hayase's perspective, because it keeps the possibility of them trying to escape, I would say, a bit lower from the it
makes Fu more manageable, and
exactly,
and escape is harder when you have a little one with short legs that
that's gonna bungle it up for you,
and you also need to take with you because since Fu is clearly attached to March. There you go. That's a way that you can potentially manipulate Fu.
Yeah, it's kind of like a chain on his legs, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I also love that it ended up being the benefit for Pioran, who is getting the lion's share of the development this episode. Holy shit!
And
that
also,
reveal.
Damn, she's a badass. Like,
oh my god, the fact that she wasn't good at archery.
Yeah,
but like everything else, she's
amazing at.
She's making string out of wolf fur.
Yep, which must take a ridiculous amount of time.
And little bits of, I would say, clothing stuff from probably her outfit.
Yep. But then also,
this is awesome.
Making basically pythons to scale the exterior wall, and those things looked like they were just made out of like wood. Like
they might have been actually arrows from the bear.
Sure,
they might have actually been like that kind of a setup there. So
and then being able to, oh shit, I'm falling, leap away from the wall that she's slipping down to go towards a
there were multiple levels here, dude. She's falling, she catches onto the rope,
right,
and then grabs onto enough of a holding so that when the rope is starting to shred, which I loved that the rope on the slightest bit of like serrated tension would
it's made of wolf hair, like
it's not going to last.
Nope.
And I'm really glad that it wasn't just some like, oh, now I'm fine. It's like, no, now you're fucked in 2 seconds instead of like in point.
You buy yourself some time.
Yeah. But then the decision to be like, I'm going to fall. Where can I direct my fall so that I'll take the least? There. Okay. I need to be actually planted on something so that I can direct my. Okay. Here we go. Let's do this.
Yeah. And all of that split second thinking without like letting herself like really panic and whatnot. So.
Oh my god.
You badass.
Way to go.
Yeah.
And I love that the reveal was so easy to understand. Not like just predict, but like easy to understand that it informs basically her whole character thus far. All the disparate things that have been set up as foreshadowing for, yes, this is why she likes being around March. This is why being around March calmed her down a bit.
Exactly.
The fact that she survived that whole stupid tradition because her sister basically played the odds and said, you know what, I'll absolutely risk my life because there'll be, I mean, it wasn't guaranteed. By the nature of her being there, it was not guaranteed that it was going to be March.
And
given Pioran, sorry.
Right, and given the fact that it looks like there were some, 40 districts or whatever, it's not like we don't know the rate that they take children, But
I think it's probably once a year.
Yeah, guess. Right. Like something, enough to placate the giant bear, and also enough to. Now, granted, theoretically,
actually, no,
they could.
If it's 40 of them, they could get away with doing it much more frequently.
Yeah, they could do it once a year per village potentially. But that might be a bit much.
Yeah,
but
that might be
given how far they are apart and things like that and whatnot.
It depends,
but point is. That does inform us some of like how each individual village will function, and that does make it seem a lot more sustainable, given that an animal could easily eat all of the children in a single village no problem in
problem.
1 year, right? And, you can't, takes a lot longer than a year to, get a whole new village full of children. So, but that's, so yeah, it was probably something where there were other kids, right? And she knew that there was a good chance, especially if they like go based on like looks and things like that or something like that, where it's like, uh-oh, it might be me. It was her.
Yeah.
But, and she phrased it as a game, which is perfect. Like at the beginning, I didn't fully get what was going on. And I was kind of worried of like, wait, a game that don't tell anyone about this game we're playing and stuff.
I immediately knew it was Perona. And then that informed me that like,
it's, ugh. And then she's like, all right, I did it. I won. Your sister's gone. And then she gets kicked out of the village that she was in or something happened
well, I think the point is that she got ostracized from her original family.
Right.
Regardless of whether she left that village and went to another one, which is probably kind of difficult just in general.
And she probably didn't, given the fact that she was so surprised by the map with all the villages.
Exactly. What I think it's more of the thing is that she basically had
to start over.
Well, she basically was essentially just, okay, you're not us, basically. So then she spends more time with March.
Sure.
Than she spends with them there.
And the fact that she survived,
maybe the guys learning how to
hopefully try and shoot.
Trying to shoot.
And being able to just survive in general in this kind of hunter-gatherer society.
Yeah.
When you've been ostracized from any part of the society,
of the traditional aspects of
right.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
That is impressive.
That is damn impressive. So
yeah,
good on her. But then also the whole thing with the bear being alive, which makes sense, right? It's a chunky sucker, and
it was getting its nose bitten off, which shouldn't kill it, but I can definitely see the bear either bleeding out or passing out from the extreme pain.
and clearly it had suffered a ridiculous amount of wounds over the course of its life.
But it's a polar bear, so
you're right.
Blubber out the wazoo.
And it's really fucking big.
It's unnaturally big.
It did seem like we got another case of it shrinking when we saw it on the cart. On the cart, it's like, okay, okay, but
whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
But actually, when we see it again with March and Fushi, and they're cleaning and stuff, I think it actually went back kind of a bit to its original size.
The middle size?
Like the middle size, not the smallest, actual polar bear kind of size, because it's still, like, scale-wise, March is, like, half the size of, or its tooth is, like, half the size of March, basically.
Right, it wouldn't need to chew March to eat her.
March could walk inside of its mouth and it wouldn't even feel it.
Just go down its throat, right?
Yeah.
But, okay, it's still kind of alive. Cool, right?
That's what I feel like they're implying.
But I think it just died.
Just died though,
right?
Yeah.
And it like succumbed to its wounds, whatever, right? Because if it was, it was clearly weakened, right? And that's why it wasn't like fighting back or something. Because even if they had some the whatever plant or something, that's not going to do much.
Can I talk about the thing that I mentioned in between this?
Yeah.
Because so Fushi learned a new word set. It hurts.
Yep.
It's not really he learned what it means necessarily, but he was saying it. Now, the thing that's weird is that he was saying it because of the way that the guy who came in with the spear to test basically the immortality of Fu got stabbed by the spear that he created.
Right. And then that stimulation because, my first time, potentially killing someone.
But the combination of the visual of, a wood thing piercing another creature, red stuff comes out, and it is obviously in some sort of negative experience.
Right.
And that means it's saying it hurts. I think that when Fu was seeing the bear with wooden stakes all around in it, and seeing the blood in it and stuff like that, could have been, this is a really weird theory, because I think there's a simpler theory that I'm going to say in a second here, is that it could have been speaking for the bear. And that it's saying, like, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts. And then when she was finished cleaning him, it's like, arigato, thank you, you removed the it hurt state.
Right.
But the other thing could just be that now Fu understands the difference between, this bear had a bunch of arrows in it. Now this bear doesn't have a bunch of arrows in it, and it's not bleeding everywhere. thank you. You moved it from it hurts to arigato, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that could definitely be what it is. The thing that I was thinking in the episode, because it did seem like they were establishing some kind of like connection to the bear.
Yeah,
but then also like
the narrator did something too.
Yeah. But when Fu was like in the prison cell and he was still saying it hurts when he wasn't wounded or anything, it had healed and all that stuff. It almost. But then he
dug directly to the
bear.
Yeah.
That really did seem like a connection or something. But one of the things that I was wondering is like maybe it's something where it realizes that it's in a bad situation and it's extrapolating the it hurts to something that's a non-physical hurt.
Yeah,
you know?
It just needs to leave this.
Right, exactly. You know, I don't
I'm hungry.
I'm hungry. I don't like that I'm being trapped somewhere. I don't like that. Yeah. I don't like the fact that March doesn't seem to be doing well, but that seems a bit high concept,
higher level thing.
For Fu right now. So
but that's the first time we've seen it dig. As the wolf,
and it was definitely a
even back in the very first episode, like definitely did not dig.
Okay,
yeah.
And it was determined digging. Like I almost was like worried that it was like going to hurt itself. It was digging so fast.
Yeah. What I think might have happened is it's not just that something happened here with Fu kind of learning something, but something happened on the alien orb level as well. Because I think the narrator said that the vessel has opened now.
I think I know what it might be.
Okay.
It learned it hurts. When it learned that was when a human said it hurts when Fu attacked it, right? Because it attacked Fu retaliated, right? Fu defended itself, and it hurts, right?
Right, okay.
Then it starts to... It keeps saying it hurts, digs back to the bear, the thing that it had previously hurt.
Oh.
Because Fu had brought it low. Fu had torn away at its nose and things like that, right?
Okay.
And maybe that's how the connection started, in that Fu is then realizing, I am capable of doing this thing, right?
Oh.
You know?
Okay.
Like... And maybe that's still a bit high concept for Fu right now.
That might be a bit high concept, but I do like the way it kind of ties in a little bit to the very interesting kind of throughput of Perona mentioning the purpose of life and death, because she brings it up again later when she's realizing that her sister saved her so that she could be in a moment like this where she saved someone else's life in the same way. And it's like, oh, that's freaking awesome. Now, do I think that this is, potentially set up for Perona to die to save March? Totally. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because March has basically passed the threshold of being the character that we showed to be cute and cuddly, so that when she dies, it's horrible and tragic.
Right. She survived long enough to be like... She
survived long enough, yeah.
I feel like she's good for now.
Right.
With Perona...
Though, I could see very much being the sacrifice.
Could totally die, but here's my case for why I don't think she will, at least not anytime soon.
Okay. With
the current character dynamic, Fu is not enough to be considered a character with regards to scenes and interactions.
Yeah, but that's
right? like he's still there, but not enough to make things dynamic because he doesn't really know many things yet, right?
Yeah.
Perona with March, suddenly that becomes a lot more dynamic, right? And then you have the conversations with them when they're in their different cells and things like that. 2, the shit that Perona has survived until now, there's a part of me that's starting to wonder what would actually kill her. Because she's gone up against a bear and managed to scrape by and not die twice.
But she nearly just died twice.
Yes.
Again.
But again,
and it was her luck, basically.
Right. But even after she fell and then someone immediately finds her and is going to attack her, she's still well enough to then turn it on him and take him down.
She had a weapon prepared.
No, right. But after a fall like that, I would not be surprised if it's like, I can't move.
We don't know actually how long she had been lying there necessarily.
That is a good point.
Just throwing it out there that she could have been out and then she wakes up and she's like,
sure.
Oh, okay, where am I? It seems I fell in a storage room.
Right. But at the very least, it could have been something where, like, you know, really loud noise happens, right? You know, someone goes to check on it and then they're like, oh, okay, you know.
True.
But
yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah, I don't think it was necessarily longer than 10 seconds, but I'm just bringing up
you're right. There's that possibility.
Yeah, that the shock of it probably, she probably had her breath back, you know, she probably was.
Because I thought she'd have to do something tricky, like when he puts down his weapon, she'd have to, like, you know, reach over and grab it real quick and kill him or something. But like she like freaking like almost
Kicked
like
it up.
yeah, like kicked him and like got up real quick and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So
it was nice and smooth. I also love the little tiny things of learning here.
like the toothpick,
the
thing.
chopsticks, or the toothpicks, the longer
skewer,
breaking in the mouth, and that caused lots of pain. So then he's like, okay,
well this is the way to, you know, it's
that's
intuitive,
so simple.
right?
It's intuitive. Yeah, I love it.
And then use your chopsticks. Oh, you mean the head
The
scratcher?
head scratcher. that was so wholesome. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. I also loved the little moment where Fu touches the water and flashes back to
The kid.
The kid, yeah.
Right. That was a good way to, because once it, you know, turned into the wolf, because it's like, okay, I'm going to be fighting this thing, you know, wolf form is better, right?
Right.
Since it's based on stimuli and not just like general stimuli, right? Because you could say that just living, you're bombarded with stimuli, but like special stimuli. Then how do you get Fu to be able to control his different abilities? Because, you know, there might not be, you know, he might not get the chance to be stimulated into doing something that then would make him be able to repeat it without the stimuli, you know?
Yeah.
But
yeah, the setup for the world being a lot bigger, the plan, basically we'll kill Oniguma, we'll bring home its hide and eyes as proof. I'm sure the people of Ninana will agree that we don't need that ritual anymore.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, you could start a revolution. You could,
like you've got an objective, like a very direct conflict for the story moving forward. Escape and make it so that this ritual doesn't happen again, which is something that I'm really glad was brought up, because if we had just, like, you know, if it wouldn't have really made sense for the show to have gone like completely differently. Oh, it's all happy here or whatever. But if they had, there would have been that question of like, are we really just going to, like, you know, we do want to like tell people though that like they don't need to sacrifice their children anymore. So, you know, there is that.
But I'm excited for the rest of this, because now they've either got this set up to where they'll fail, and then we can have just a horrific tragedy as maybe Fu is separated from them, and maybe also there could be a kind of thing where Pioran becomes a little bit of an antagonist to March for a little bit. She's like, no, we need to abandon Fu.
Oh, this thing's too dangerous.
This thing's too dangerous. They're going to follow us with this, and he's not going to be able to help.
Oh man, if that ends up being something, well, or even if they get back to the village and then they're like, we can't have Fu stay here, we need to send him away, you know? Like, that would that'd be the way you could time skip through this to your eternity, go into another area, story, or what have you. One thing I will say, if Pioran does die, one of the ways that they could kind of keep her around
is he could become Pioran. Yep. Oh, you're right.
Yep. And that could also be a way for them to be able to theoretically hide, because Fu is a bit more noticeable just from like the garb and like, you know, he's got white hair, you know, like things like that.
The way he just doesn't act like a regular human.
Right, exactly. But if, like, I don't know how much Fu would necessarily learn from Pioran if he copied her.
Yeah, probably not
like
much
his
at all.
mannerisms still would probably be more or less the same as what he had. But, you know, it could also be that that he didn't get much from the kid, because the kid was living in a wasteland.
Also,
yeah, the kid was dying. He was living in a wasteland. Like, there wasn't, and he was also delirious. So, you know, there might not have been much to copy.
Holy shit! Wait, actually, hold on. When he copied the kid was already dead.
Oh yeah,
oh my god! Wait a minute. Every single time he's actually copied thus far,
a dead thing.
The thing was already dead.
Yeah.
So what happens if he copies something that's alive? Does he gain the memories and experiences and stuff like that?
Which, by the way, since he's copied only things dead so far, that's just more
foreshadowing. Objects.
Right. That's more foreshadowing that Oniguma could be something that could be copied.
Yes.
Because like, you know, that would be really helpful if they could just turn into this big bear that suddenly people are like, oh, is that what the god was supposed to be? And, you know.
This is the dumbest theory I've had thus far, and I've been keeping it to myself because I know how dumb it is. But I've almost been on the Oniguma is another orb that was dropped like eons ago.
It's crossed my mind.
Because of the way Oniguma is like, just...
Yeah.
Like...
So...
Just so weird. The way they handle it...
Yeah. Well, but then also, there have been a lot of parallels between Oniguma and Fu. And I'm not just talking about the fact that they have white fur.
I don't seriously think this is
no,
theory, though.
No, right, but to just, you know, Oniguma could, if that were to be the case, Oniguma could totally be the example of Fu that didn't run into a march soon, or the kid, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But ran into something maybe a bit worse, and then turns into this monster.
Yeah,
right?
It basically just went up the food chain.
Yeah, exactly, right? And then that would also explain how there's this bear that's so freakishly big, you know,
and probably has been around for a long time. The idea that
now it wasn't regenerating and stuff, so you know,
true, but it also has all those arrows in it, and it's completely fine.
It's
I would totally understand the idea that it's actually some abomination mix of a bunch of animals, and not only that, it's an old orb that was sent, you know, forever ago. And at some point it did become the bear, and Oniguma did become some legend or what have you.
Sure.
And they're like, oh my god, the bear's actually around. And then it's the thing of like,
wait, that legend has been going on for 500 years.
Right, yeah,
you know,
exactly. And then it's like, wait a minute.
How is that? Doesn't make sense,
right?
And I think what they were trying to imply with March making that line of like, oh, you're just the bear that ended up liking, you know, eating liking the taste of people, is that maybe
that is actually a polar bear thing. Like, just to
yeah. Polar bears are totally carnivorous. Now, this is not a polar bear habitat, so and it's way bigger than any, you know, polar bear would ever get.
Right. It's not a natural polar bear. That's I think more just to reinforce that we're not on Earth specifically.
Right, exactly.
Like we're not on our Earth. We're on a parallel Earth.
Right,
you know?
because the orb is something that goes to Earth, so theoretically it could still be Earth, and it's just an outside thing that comes in. But the bear was sort of like the first concrete thing of this world is going to be very different from Earth.
Yes.
Well, you know, and you'll have to see how different.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. But
I mean, it could be. That'd be really cool.
And even if it's not, you know, the parallels between Oniguma and Fu, I think are, you know, good to bring up, right?
Yeah.
But
okay. Let's execute the mission. Let's get our our march out of there.
Yep. And now Pioran has an actual blade.
It's true.
She was doing all this with like sticks and like
and a good disguise. Go a long way with just the disguise.
Oh no, these guards don't let any of their bodies or faces or any of their faces be shown.
That's not going to be exploited at all.
Yeah.
That
sounds great.
Yeah. So y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access. So you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.